Hey friends, it's Elizabeth here, and I am back with a new video using the Ali Edwards Ampersand Story Kit. So I'm going to show you kind of my idea behind this layout before we dive straight into the process video. But here is my notebook with the sketch for this layout. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably already saw this sketch in a little bit more detail, but I'm just going to go over it really quickly here. These are two 9x12 pages that combine into a 9x12 spread. This left side, I plan on having some tags. These tags, which were, I believe, an add-on for this month's Ali Edwards Story Kit. And I'm going to add those to the left side of the page. These are going to be attached to the page with brads, and you'll be able to lift them to the side and see the journaling underneath. I'm also thinking I'm going to add a photo into this white part instead of journaling, so I'm going to have a photo that fits into this white square. And then on this side will probably be a full page photo with either a journaling card or an extra tag, because this pack only comes with 8 tags, and my husband and I just celebrated our 9-year wedding anniversary, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of something about that to add another tag, but that is my main idea for this layout. Alright, so here I have all of the elements for the left side of my page printed out. So as you can see, I have my tags that I recolored and resized a little bit to fit better with the colors of the Ampersand kit. I realized that the physical tags were actually the colors of the August Stories by the Month kits, and they didn't, like, the colors are really pretty, and I love the idea of using these physical tags, but they just didn't fit with the color scheme that I was going with, especially because I knew that for the rest of the spread I really wanted to use the Ampersand Story Kit, and I feel like the colors just didn't match all that well. These are super bright and these are super pastel. So I went ahead and recolored those in Photoshop and then also changed them a teeny bit so they fit better with my layout. They are the same size, but that is what I decided to do with the tags. So for my 9th tag over here, because obviously there's 9 spots on the 9x12 layout the way that I have the grid set up, and I only need 8 tags to have photos because my 9-year wedding anniversary photo is going to be here on the right. So I decided to add the digital version of one of the 3x4 cards, this one that you saw a little bit earlier. It says "I love you so forever and ever," and I love that card, so I'm glad that I was able to use the digital version on this layout. So as you can see, I have my photos all printed out. I decided on black and white just because there's so many other colors going on in the kit. And then I also have the base of my 9x12 layout already printed. This is 12x12 paper. I also have some tips and tricks of how to do this layout even if you don't have a wide format printer. So I have the XP 15000 wide format printer, so it allows me to print up to, I believe, 13x19. So as long as I have the paper, I can pretty much do any of the large sizes. But if you don't have a wide format printer or you don't have the paper for a wide format size, you can definitely do this layout, and I will show you that probably in an Instagram video over on my Instagram. So definitely check that out and follow me over there if you want to see different tips and tricks of how to make this layout come together in different ways. So let's get started. So whenever I speed up all of the cutting that I do in my videos, I always think of the one quote from Iron Man 3 where Tony Stark asks the Mandarin how all of the videos are made, and he's like, "Movie magic, love," which is always funny to me, and this always reminds me of that line in the movie because we're Marvel fans around here in this family, and everything can remind us of a Marvel movie. But anyway, I am cutting out all of my tags and my photos. I'm rounding all of the corners, which took the longest time because I didn't have the right size of corner rounder, so I had to do it all myself. And now I am moving on to figuring out how I want my tags. I thought about mixing up all of the colors, but I ended up going with kind of a gradient look, so it goes from the dark green to the gray to the cream to the peach and then to the pinks at the very bottom. And once I've decided on the placement, I'm going to go ahead and start attaching my tags. So I am using an awl to pierce a small hole into each of the tags. And then I'm going to use one of the midi brads to attach that to my base page. So I'm piercing a hole in the tag, and then I'm also going to be piercing another small hole around the right spot on my 9x12 base page. I did not do any measuring for this layout. You can see a little bit later that I used a ruler to try to keep myself a little bit straighter than I probably would have otherwise, but this layout is by no means perfect. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have to re-pierce that one hole that I made in my base page because I realized that you could not see the journaling very well, and that was kind of bothering me because I was like, I really want the journaling to be seen, so I moved it up a little bit. But turns out that even when you move up the tag, I still could not see all of my journaling at one time. So you couldn't just swing the tag and see all of the journaling. But I decided to go with it because one, I was not reprinting my 9x12 page, and two, I figured you could just swing it both ways in order to see those first two lines. So definitely not perfect, but I think future me will definitely get the gist of my journaling, and she will not mind having to swing around the tags in order to get the full journaling. That being said, if I was ever to do this kind of layout again, I definitely would take a little bit more notice of this when I was mocking it up in Photoshop and maybe move the journaling a little bit down and more well spaced so that when I swing the tags, I could see the entirety of the journaling. As it is, I have a kind of a large space on the bottom that I end up having to cover with pattern paper, and I probably could have used that a teeny bit better just by spacing the journaling a little bit better. So that is just something you might want to keep in mind if you decide to recreate this layout. For me, I'm just going to go ahead and continue adhering all of my photos to my tags and then my tags to my base page. As you can see, I'm working on the last one right here. This is actually going to be a faux tag, so it's going to have the brad, but it's not going to be able to swing. So I am just going to add the brad in there, and then I am going to use some foam adhesive to pop that up a teeny bit. And that's just to add a little bit of extra dimension and kind of differentiate it from the ones that you can swivel. So here I am doing that. And once I'm done, I'm going to move on to the right side of my page. So you might actually remember from the sketch that both sides of this layout were actually supposed to be 9x12 spreads, but the photo that I chose for our 9-year anniversary photo worked so much better as a 6x12 that is what I went with. And if you look closely, my photo is actually not even the full 6x12. It's more like 6x8. I actually printed this on 8.5x11 photo paper, but that worked out perfectly because I wanted to use some patterned paper there on the top because I really wanted to use that large green ampersand and that You and Me card. So I am going to try a couple of different patterns from the Ampersand Story Kit in various places on my layout, and I'm also trying really hard to figure out something to add to those tags. I wanted to use those ampersand stickers, but they were just a bit too large. So I end up just going to my computer and working on the patterns. So as you can see, I have that peachy pink pattern enlarged to 9x12 so that I can fit it at the bottom of my tag page. And then I have two different patterns that I want to try out for the top of my 6x12 page. So usually what I do when I'm feeling a little bit indecisive about my choices is I do the thing that I know I really want to do. So I am going to go ahead and add that piece of pattern paper to the bottom of my 9x12 just with some foam adhesive to give it a little bit of a pop. And I'm also going to add another one of those saying cards. I'm not sure what Allie is calling those. Phrase cards maybe. And it says then and now. That's going to change here in a second, but that is the one that I add for right now. And instead of adding an ampersand to each one of those tags, I'm actually going to stamp out some numbers. So I'm going to stamp out each of the numbers that correspond with the year of our anniversary. So like year 1, year 2, that kind of thing. And I am going to stamp those out on the extra pattern paper that I printed out. So I'm going to alternate between that green pattern paper and the orange and pink pattern paper. I'm not really sure why, because ultimately you can't really tell the difference because the numbers are so small. But it was a fun idea, and it could have worked as a kind of way to make those two pages come together a little bit more. But I am using a stamp set, a really old stamp set from, I believe, A Week in the Life release back in 2017 from Allie. I'm not sure. I will try to link it down below if it is still available, at least digitally. That way you guys can see it if it's still available. But I am just going to be using some of that black StazOn ink, and I'm going to stamp out all of those numbers. And then once I cut them out, I'm going to back them with that foam tape and cut them out again. And then I'm going to adhere them onto my tags right in the middle below the brad. So I didn't catch that with my camera, but you are going to see it in the following video when I go back to the right side of my spread here in a second. So at this point, my camera was definitely running out of battery, so you might notice that the footage gets a little jumpy from here on out, but pretty much I'm just going to adhere my pattern paper, and I chose the pattern and I'm just going to adhere that to the top of my 6x12 photo. I'm just using another layout as a guide to kind of figure out where I need to adhere that down onto my photo. And I am going to use red line tape just because that pattern paper will not have a background, and I wanted to make it a little bit more sturdy, even though it will go in the page protector. So once that's done, I'm going to add my green ampersand to the top of my 6x12 page, and I believe I just do that with a tiny attacher. And at this point, you're going to see me switch around those phrase cards a little bit, so that You and Me phrase is going to go at the bottom of the 9x12 page, and then I'm also going to add that Forever and Ever phrase card to my ampersand, and that is pretty much my layout complete. So I'm really excited to have this story documented. I love that I have 9 years of anniversary memories documented on one spread, and I'm really excited to see what you guys are doing with the Ampersand Story Kit as well. That is all for me today, friends. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more process videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye.